Greetings, Kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome back to our World of Darkness and another cover-to-cover book review for a Vampire the Masquerade source book. Today we are going over Blood Sigils, the brand new expansion to the way that Blood Sorcery is going to work in the 5th edition of Vampire the Masquerade, and the World of Darkness in general, actually. So, this book specifically covers the magic that is in Vampire. And I've been able to take a couple peeks because I don't have as much self-control as I would like to say that I do when it comes to these things. But we are going to be going over the 186 pages that this book has to offer. And what little I have read from it, I'm actually quite impressed by. We are going to be going over this on the standard cover-to-cover format. I will be reading the book section by section and telling you exactly what I think about it and trying to make this as brief as possible. That way, you guys, as gamers, can decide whether or not this book is worth adding to your collection. So let's go ahead and hop into it. We'll look at some of the artwork before we, or as we go along through this. It's beautiful so far. I'm loving the vibrant colors and the reds, the pinks, and the blues that they're using in these books thus far. Yeah, it's looking great. It looks amazing. I got this book a while ago. I'm so glad it came back in. Let's go ahead and read this Crafts of the Blood section together, and then we will get into it. Blood trickles in channels alongside the walls of and pools in chalices in Transylvanian castles, carrying within it the power of sorcery, to ward, to guide, and perform dark miracles impossible to even vampires. And the blood can change. Thin bloods transmute it in kettles, meld it into their own veins, boil it in the bodies of unfortunate mortals. This thin blood alchemy flares up and burns new paths through vampire society, as new-fledged vampires seek any leverage on the kindred who would destroy them, and on the blood itself. Orphaned judges, desperate warlocks, and Mercurians with nothing to lose rewrite the rules of bloodcraft since the 21st century knights, spelling out new names and laws in the Blood Sigils. This book presents blood sorcery and thin blood alchemy for Vampire the Masquerade. Blood Sigils includes the red working scene in 21st century Chronicles, who's buying, who's selling, who's hunting, and who's waiting. Dozens more thin blood alchemy formula and blood sorcery rituals, plus systems to build formula and rituals for your chronicle. Tools, monstrosities, tomes, and the veins of the earth to be tapped by vampire sorcerers. How to add a bloodcraft scene to your existing chronicle, including a sample chronicle structure focused on thin blood alchemy. So there's actually a lot in this. Very, very excited. Whew! I'm sorry, but that white paper, blinded by the light. I'm not even going to do that. You guys know what I was thinking. Thin Blood Sorcery, or Blood Sorcery and Thin Blood Alchemy. Source book for Vampire the Masquerade. My real name's on there. Oh my god. I don't care. I would like to, first off, since we're at this page, I would like to thank... first, I'm going to apologize if I pronounce any of these names wrong. I would like to thank the authors, Emily Cambias, Jose R. Garcia, Greg Stolz, and Kenneth Height for everything that you guys have done in this. Also, all of the producers, the artists, the directors, the cover art, everybody, thank you for putting this into this. I know a lot of people have felt that the Blood Sorcery has really taken a hit in 5th edition, and having this additive might take the edge off some of that. I personally like it. I find the Tremere themselves to be more approachable and playable without all of the ridiculous amount of stuff that they had as use in the older systems. I've played around with doing my own homebrew for Blood Sorcery to make people happy as a compromise. But I'm sure what we're going to be looking in on this book is going to be something that really gives us something to focus on for our characters who are Blood Sorcerers. Alright, so I just read through Basement Session, and I gotta say, this is a great introductory story. It's very descriptive, it's very world-building, and it also has a lot of great, just structure when it comes to the way Blood Sorcery should work in 5th edition. This is just a fun read all the way across. Okay, so Cards on the Table has actually a lot of interesting information for it. I really didn't expect. There is a mature audience warning. There is a lexicon, but it goes into the fact that this isn't talking about what you would typically think of blood sorcery for a vampire game. It's not talking about Clan Tremere. It's not talking about the Tzimisce or the Banu Hakim. It's not talking about like specific scenes or anything, but it's actually talking about cultural significance. And I really, really like that. I'm going to actually read a sentence, the first couple of sentences here, just so that you can understand what I mean by that. It says, consider this a book first and foremost about a subculture, a covert community. In other words, a scene. Not a section of a drama or even part of a game session, but the Bloodcraft scene. And I really like the way they put that, because with the way that the Thin Blood Alchemists and everything come off in 5th edition, they really are a subculture in and of themselves. You could run a Vampire the Masquerade game following the lore exactly how it is and not have the Camarilla, the Sabbat, or anything come up other than threats in the background. You could run a Thin Blood game and show like the people who trade information, the people who are using this knowledge as almost like a drug. And I gotta say that I really highly appreciate the way that this introduction is written. I really like it. I think it works very well. Of course, I gotta go in on how amazing this artwork looks. I like the way that she has the blood sigils just kind of like drawn all over her skin. A very noticeable bullet wound in the forehead there, but I like the way that she's using herself as the parchment, and that's pretty cool. So this section, Fools, Lovers, and the Wheel, the players, is actually pretty cool. It gives you a lot of ideas on what type of individuals would be involved in the blood sorcery scene, and not just how the players would play them, but other characters who might be involved, other NPCs or SPCs that you might get involved, who would be causing problems for your players. And the reason is because there's more likelihood that your characters are going to end up being the new kids on the block when it comes to this kind of thing. Your players will end up being the characters that the SPCs who have been there maybe centuries, dealing with chantries and circles and covens, your players are the problem. Yours are the ones who are getting into stuff that they should not be getting into, and this chapter deals with who might come after you and for what reason. And there's some amazing archetypes involved in who might be in your city. For those of you who don't do much with blood sorcery, I think there's a reason to do more in a subtle fashion, making it so that the blood sorcerers are the pushers and the almost like vampiric drug dealers. It's just a very interesting way to include that stuff into your game. The section marked The Hanged Man and temperance, the magics. This section goes into the various rituals that are here, the things that they've added into the game that a lot of you are probably going to be more interested in than most. So what I think I'm going to do is we will cover all of these in level by level eventually, as I finally get off my butt and do another one of those, or another section of those. But let's just see what they went ahead and added into this. We do have our new blood sorcery rituals. We have Archetypes. The stars write the nature of those on Earth below them, or perhaps they reflect them. Combining astrology and hediomancy, the sorcerer draws out true information about allies, enemies, and mortals that catch their interest. So in other words, this is scrying using the stars. I think that's really cool. We also, God, look at that. Look at the artwork. That screams Bahari to me, just personally, and I'm pretty sure that's what it's meant to be. Let's see, we have Bind the Accusing Tongue. There are some older rituals who are coming back in this book. The Tremere developed this ritual early in their ancient power, which may help explain their ascent. Bind the Accusing Tongue prevents a target from speaking ill of the caster, ensuring the sorcerer's unspeakable acts remain that way. We have we have a section on Caldunic sorcery. I'm just gonna stop complaining about the way people pronounce, or the way people talk about Caldunic sorcery, the words used. I guess since I can't even speak this sentence, but there's a section in here on Caldunism. And that makes me very, very happy as a Tzimisce player in general. This is really cool. It goes into the Old Clan and Cupola and all that stuff. I'm so glad this is here. Let's see. Level 2, we got Craft Master. I really shouldn't read all of these. God, there's so much great information in here, though. Elemental Grasp. Depth of Nightmare. That sounds like a lot of fun. Kind of reminds me of the old Orneomancy. I just look at this art with the Anubis in the background here. That's so cool. Let's see, La Sang de l'Amour. Damn it, French. La Sang de l'Amour. That sounds like. This is La Sang de l'Amour is basically the blood of love, the blood of the love. That's pretty cool that this is here. I like this. These rituals, as I've read through them, are amazing. You've got Silentia Mortis, the silence of death, Tiamat Glistens, Viscera Garden. Great rituals here. Blood Sigil. Let's read this since this is the name of the book. The ritual restores important records and documents in one of the most resilient mediums available, the unliving flesh of another kindred. So that actually causes the vampire to be covered in tattoos of words. So very much that picture that we saw earlier. There's so many amazing rituals in here. It would literally make this video too long. But you're going to see a lot of old rituals pop up. You're going to see a lot of new rituals pop up. You're going to see some beautiful artwork in this book, as I have said repeatedly already. I'm very happy with this. The book itself, we got new thin blood alchemy formula. I'm just going to go over names because this is, again, it's going to be level by level eventually. Checkout time. Elevates, Food Stain, Advanced Torpor, Speak from the Heart, Blacklight Surprise, Blue State, Fire Skin, Diamond Skin, Hospital Chains, Martian Purity. Martian Purity refers not to Martian, to the extraterrestrial sense, but to the Roman god of Mars. So Ares, for you Greek fans. TLC, Mask Off, Copycat, Troll the Pious. There's just so much in here. Still, my favorite thing on here is the Khaldoonism. Um, this goes into how to make new rituals, which is always very nice to be able to do that. Determine the goal. They put a lot of thought into this, and they basically, in my opinion, they shared the knowledge that they use when writing these for the players, and I really appreciate that. It's a very simple system. Also, it's a 4-step system on how to determine how to create your own rituals. It goes into making new alchemy formula for Thin Bloods. And again, it is a very simple system that goes into 4 steps. We have the fine art of counterfeit. Some of the most popular formulae: counterfeit the disciplines of thicker blooded vampires. Survival might depend on speeding out a bad scene with celerity or seeing it ahead of time with auspex. And it gives many Dustborns a kick to steal a discipline from their self-proclaimed betters. This is how thin-blooded alchemists reverse engineer disciplines into formula. I really, really like the idea of having this stuff. Lab disasters, it goes into such amazing things. I'm really appreciating all of this. The next section to go over here is Death and the Magician, the sources. And this book, this section of the book gives you some very interesting food for thought. It goes into where blood sorcery might come from, how to get into it, and what kind of trouble you can get into while trying. But another interesting thing that it covers is what specific clans have when it comes to history with blood sorcery. It goes over the Brujah, it goes over the Malkavians. This isn't just a Tremere Banu Hakim centric section, which you think it might be, especially with a name like Death and the Magician, which, by the way, the names of these sections are all taken in reference to tarot cards. Temperance, Strength, Death, the Magician. These are all different tarot cards. I've noticed that a lot of World of Darkness 5th edition books have actually been having reference on the tarot cards, and that's a very interesting thing to see. But the way that this book is set up, it works really, really well, and it covers some interesting things that are causing me to really think about how I want to include this kind of thing into my chronicles. Let's just go ahead and go down to a section that caught my attention while I was reading it. Close to the very beginning of this section is Even the best of times, a desert where the sun bakes the day dry, is unlikely to appeal to Kindred. And southern Iraq is not having the best of times. But the history of isn't going to come to you, and what a history it is. A city commanded into being by a mighty ancestral vampire, laid out the very principles of blood witchcraft. Even if bricks weren't laid by the hands of Cain himself, there is still plenty there to interest sorcerers and alchemists. Dust of is an ingredient in at least one alchemical working that lets those fallen in battle rise up to torment their attackers. And more than one kindred mystic has seen a satellite map of and recognized shapes they've been drawing in their vitae for centuries. That's without getting into the artifacts. Did a temple seal of the moon deity Sin or Nanner looted from and stolen from Isis, turn the tide in the 30-year battle between Okefenokee lupines and the Kindred of North Florida? Do ancient tablets of sorcery really teach mortals how to read them? Do statues from the city really come to life when there's a new moon or an equinox, with blood that presents bizarre properties? I really like how they have this stuff covered. And where some of it might be sensitive material, um, it it works into the world of darkness really, really well. I really like the idea of the travel to get specific ingredients. And this gives you a lot of information. Not only that, even if your characters... not only that, even if you're playing a game where you don't have many blood sorcerers in the game currently, traveling to a place like this to protect a masquerade violation could very well be a plot line. Maybe the Camarilla is ordering them to handle that kind of thing, or maybe Anarchs got involved to make sure the Camarilla can't gain the power that they're trying to get. There's so many reasons to actually to include this into a book. There's so many reasons to include this into a chronicle. It's pretty interesting. As I was saying before, also, they do cover a lot of different clans in this, not just Tremere and Tzimisce, not just Thin Bloods. We've got a whole section here on Bruja, on the Malkavian, the Hecata, the Ministry, the Toreador. You name the clan, they're probably in here for the most part. And it gets into history and things that you can use to build chronicles, and even if it's just a small story arc, it's something of interest, and ways to really like tie a chronicle into an overarching storyline. Tower, Justice, and Empress, movers and shakers. This section of the book goes over the big deals, the individuals who have been doing this for such a long time that they have become the influential mighty of the mighty of blood sorcery society, and how they can be used and influence who is practicing blood sorcery. At first, when I was reading this, I was like, okay, this is just going to go over the simple stuff with like how the Tremere are involved, what is their reaction, things like that. But it actually goes into a lot more than that. And utilizing it into your story can really put up a little bit more life and more realism into the way that this thing works. The book is put together so well up to this point, and I'm really enjoying the way that everything just kind of flows in the way that it does. It's a... I'm not even fully done reading this, because I'm reading it as I'm telling you about it. And this is already such a great thing to have in my collection. I can't wait to see where this goes. Okay, so Devil and Star met on the path. I didn't expect what I found in this. In fact, I'm going to show you what I found in this, because it was such a fun shock. This right here goes over the different types of people you might meet. The Sabbat. Different types of the different types of Sabbat that you're going to find in here. The Nodus, I didn't expect Sabbat stuff in here, but this isn't I'm not even getting close to what I was talking about, because towards the end it gets into some things that just kind of shocked me. Let's see. Okay, so we have Mesopotamian blood sorcery first off, and I'm talking like levels of blood sorcery in here. Beast Shard. This sentence is just amazing. Sometimes a beast refuses to die even when its body reduced to ash. That's pretty cool. Beast Shard is just neat. It's just really cool. I don't even really know how to explain it without going into it too deep. And I know I'm going to end up doing all of these things. Very, very much. The art in here is just very cool. Just as always, good job. Bravo on the artists. Gargoyle Ghoul. The word gargoyle can mean anything from a waterspout statue on a cathedral to a hideous mask to a horrendous amalgam Tremere experiment from the Dark Ages. These nights, it mostly refers to a ghoul, doubly enslaved by a blood bond and by a ritual binding them to a location. A blood bond with a specific knot in the vein of the earth. Zemitzi gargoyle ghouls often sport flesh-worked wings, and even wingless gargoyle ghouls can open... and even wingless gargoyle ghouls can often climb or leap around their prison post with preternatural parkour. It's just fun. I know it's not true gargoyles, but it's fun to see this on here. We go into homunculus. This goes into things that can be used as servants through blood sorcery, which I think is something that's overlooked a lot in the core book and even in the player's guide. We have this wonderful little thing in here about artifacts. Artifacts are always fun. We've got obsidian mirrors, humor cup, adder stone ring. Like, these are all amazing. Look at this art. Look at it. It's so pretty. Blades, like, we get into actual, like, artifacts. I love relics. I love throwing relics in my games. Those of you who have played under me, because I've story told for a few of you who watch this, know the kind of thing that I'm talking about here. And the fact that there's a nice listing in here. Listen to this. The Lazarus Cloak. Just as fresh grave dirt can provide marvelous effects, the pristine shroud from the body of a corpse risen to life, but not one embraced, and risen as a vampire, protects against sunlight if wrapped completely around the kindred's body. That's awesome. Mandrake, like, I like the fact that you have very fun stuff. We got alchemical equipment. I love the fact there's a Home Depot bucket in this. This is just a Captain Crunch box in the back. Like, you can actually, like, see things and just know what they are. Pressure cooker. Fun stuff. Grimoires. Spell books, basically. That's very, very fun. The most that we've heard in the past about any type of spell book in 5th edition is like yellow legal pads that the Thin Bloods use to pass their information around. This is more into just like classic Vampire the Masquerade stuff. Look at this. He's got like a spell book and a 3D a 3-ring binder. We have alchemical formulas, hard drive of Jordan Dipper. This also gives lore building because it says where these things are coming from. This is building a whole new range of NPCs for the world of darkness that we haven't been able to see before. These are individuals who are going to end up showing up on the they're going to end up showing up on the world of darkness, like in the Eternal Struggle card game. These are going to be your cards that pop up for that kind of stuff. And it's really neat just to see where they're coming from, who they are, who might show up in World of Darkness novels later on. Vampire the Masquerade novels, which I'm really hoping that happens. Then there's this. Red Mercury is really neat. I really like this. The phrase Red Mercury turns up in illegal international arms deals now and then. Purportedly, it's the USSR's special source for upping kiloton yields in nuclear weapons. Most legit scientists say it's a hoax, but why wouldn't they? While credulous Thin Bloods wonder longingly about what the Bruja got up to in the secret Soviet labs before perestroika. Regardless how it started, Red Mercury has brand name cachet now and can refer to any of the following and much more besides, all of which, or none, might be true. I really like how it goes into this. I guess this is our Red Mercury here. I really like the idea of the little special oomph that it can add to the way that, like, I don't know. I love the story building, and that's really all this stuff is. It adds a lot of stuff. We got the Blood Serpent, Believers in Ley Lines. This has been popping up since the core book. This kind of stuff popped up in the Zelios lore sheet. There is a whole thing about this in LA by Night, and how Zelios was sleeping in the ley lines underneath LA. This is fun. I know this is a huge part of, this is, I guess, a background story of things that are happening in my game as well, so it's fun to have more stuff here. Moon and World Chronicles. This section of the book actually has a lot of great information on how to start a Blood Sorcery based Chronicle. And I've never actually considered that before, trying to make it so that the entire game is set around the concept of Blood Sorcery and what it can be used for. And one of the best things that they have on this is Chronicle Tenets. They have Chronicle Tenets for Blood Sorcery. Forbidden Sorcery Tenets. High Society Sorcery Tenets. Hubristic Sorcery Tenets. Humanistic. It's so cool that this is in here. I love the fact that it has this. I love also the fact that this one section is no magic please, we're Ventru. I like that. Characters don't need a Blood Sorcery dot to get in on the fun. A scene involves more than just its direct participants. Every scene draws its folks from other walks of life with tangible and intangible support. This is the role of non-sorceress Kindred can play. Ambassadors, bodyguards. Look at this art. I love this. I love the art. The colors, it's just the backgrounds. It's so, I don't know, it sucks me in and I really like it. Now we also have suggestions on coterie types, which is really, really nice for how to get a game going. I love this wheeling and dealing back alley blood drug deal picture that's going on. It's very Nosferatu heavy. How to build story elements. I really like this, how to map everything out. It works really great. Everything that I've read in here is really, really fun. They have ideas on here on how to refine your character using advantages. Blood resistance, mala, status, flaws are all on here. This is all really, really great stuff. And something very fun on here is a sample chronicle. Basically, this is a storyline called Through the 12 Gates, and this is a lot of fun. It's very mystical driven, and it might be something that I might have to rework around my game when I have the chance. Right now, we're doing a very interesting plot line that I got to get. I've got so much going on with the Thicker Than Water Chronicle. Oh my god, I can't get into it here. There's just too much. But this is something that I can really see working its way in. I also have been collecting the chronicles that are ready for use for people who want to get into the game, who want me to run things for them. So this is always a nice thing. I love these sample chronicles. Alright, and now we have something that everybody is going to love. Towards the end of this book, we have lore sheets. Let me just show you exactly what lore sheets we have, because we will be seeing these on the channel soon enough. We have the Descendant of Al-Asharad. Banu Hakim characters only. This is going to be a lot of fun. They've got a lot of really great stuff in here. Student of Kieran Tonk. Kieran Tonk is a thin blood who is spreading blood alchemy. It's really great. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. Some of it's actually kind of crazy. Like, I wonder if it would like dismantle the stuff that I'm trying to do in game. Veins of the Earth. We've seen this much as we've seen the Al-Sharad one. This is a lore sheet that is completely wrapped around the idea of using ley lines for your characters. We have Vina 0, Blood Sorcery users only. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. It gets into some pretty crazy stuff here. And then we're on the index. That is the whole book. It's a good read. I'd like to say that it's a great read. It's very smooth. It flows well. I've actually only been reading this for like maybe an hour and a half to get where we are now. And everything that you need for your character for your chronicle to interact in Blood Sorcery to meld an interesting plot line where magic gets out of hand is all in here. And I'm glad that this is part of my collection now. I really am. Getting a physical copy of this book. I hope that happens soon. I would really like that because I'm very prone to just printing them out and putting them in a binder. But I really, with everything that's in here, there's definitely some information that I'm going to want to start incorporating into my games as soon as humanly possible. And having the actual book at the table is the way that I like to play myself. So that is cover to cover. This one was a little bit different because this book isn't exactly set up into chapters as most Vampire the Masquerade source books are. But it's a good book, and there's nothing in here that's too far overgrown, but there is some interesting stuff on how to incorporate these ideas into a chronicle that's already there, or to create a chronicle from scratch based around the concept of blood sorcery and how this stuff goes. I personally cannot wait to start working with Khaldun'ism, as I'm going to be playing as Amitsi in the Darkness Emergence LARP in San Antonio, Texas. And it would be so much fun if I could get, eventually, I'm starting off as a newer embraced vampire, so it's going to take some time till I can get there. But maybe later on, if I can play in some other World of Darkness, By Night Studios, Mind's Eye Theater things, I'll be able to include some of the information from this book into my character there. That's pretty much all I got for you guys. I hope this helps in deciding whether or not Blood Sigils is good for you and how it can be utilized by you guys. If you have read through this completely or have any thoughts or anything, please put that down in the comments so that we can start a conversation going. Also, there is the Voivode Maquette Facebook page or my Discord or even the Patreon. If you guys want to get on there, we can have great discussions about this kind of stuff on there. And I look forward to doing the next one very soon. I gotta sit down and do the the cover to cover on War of Ages. I think that might be coming up next. Until then, I am Voivode Maquette. This is Our World of Darkness, and I will talk to you guys later. Good evening.